Hey guys, before this video starts, I do want to mention we are sponsored by Amazon Coins. This video is, and if you guys don't know what Amazon Coins are, I'm going to put a link in the description below on a tutorial on how to use them. Amazon Coins are a great way to save some little bit of cash, some money when doing your in-app game, mobile game purchases. And as always, they're going to have savings all over the place. Like right now, the $100 Lapis or the $100 Amazon Coin deal is going for $76. That is a 24% in savings. It's insane, and you guys could be using that all year long. I'm going to be using Amazon Coin from here on out. It's an amazing deal, and again, if you guys want to know how to use it, there'll be a link in the description below to my tutorial. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and enjoy the video. What's going on, guys? Claykeys back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius banner review, and this time we're going over Wilhelm and the gang he brings along with him. The one bad thing about this banner, man, is they took my boy Titus off of it. It's like I can hear his voice right now. I miss him so bad. But Wilhelm is good enough to make up for this banner. And we're going to go over the other characters and everything you need to know. So if you should pull, or if you should just sit back and save that Lapis. Alright guys, so the first unit we're going to talk about is Jean. We're not even going to have any slides for because she's really not that good or brings anything special to your party. Jean is a 3-star base going up to 5-star. Her TM is a big machine gun. It does take 2 hands to wield, which means dual hand or dual wield or double hand, excuse me, are not going to work on it. It's just one of those TMs where if you really need a big gun weapon or a big weapon, you don't have any, you end up pulling Jean you can use. Other than that, Jean is a really lackluster physical damage dealer, so we're going to skip on to Abel and then go on through the rest of them, so that's where we're going to go now. So sorry for all your Jean fans out there, but we're not going over her too much like I said before. We're going to talk about Abel though, because even though he does only go to 5-star, he does bring a lot of discussion to the table. Abel is a 3-star base going up to 5-star physical damage dealer, and one of the biggest things about Abel is this Bowie knife, his trust mastery, attack plus 82 with dual wield. It's a dagger. For everybody out there who got second knife and thought it was awesome, this is a massive upgrade to it. There's going to be a lot of discussion on math on whether, you know, the Bowie knife is going to be able to surpass maybe, you know, dual wield in the materia slot or even Genji glove in the accessory slot. But for me, it doesn't really do that a lot on anyone. There are a few select, you know, units out there that may be better than just using straight up dual wield from Zidane, or, you know, I don't think it ever surpasses Genji glove in my opinion. But the reason being is that, you know, you want to slot for the katana and then you know, the blade mastery from Chizuru. On top of the fact that you need a weapon in your hand also that has an element attached to it for the physical damage elemental chaining. So, you know, Bowie knife is for those units out there that maybe can't equip a katana who, you know, this is talking about best in slot for a lot of the meta units out there. You can't equip a katana who can equip a dagger and has a dagger mastery attached to it. In that case, yes, there's some math and some talk for it, but for me, overall, this is just a replacement for dual wield. If you didn't pull any dual wield or a unit out there that has dagger mastery, this could be really great on. But overall, very, very good. I mean, it's an attack 82 dagger with dual wield, but I just wanted to get my 2 cents in there because, you know, you want to use blade mastery and a katana because a katana is going to have more attack than this Bowie knife, you know, our good katanas from like the Genji trial, things like that, and Miyuki. And then on top of that, we need our other weapon who has a, like, you know, like an Excalibur or anything like that that has an element attached to it to be chaining with everyone else. So that's why the Bowie knife to me is kind of just like, it's good, but I don't know if I can say it's that much better than dual wield or if it even is on a lot of units. So moving on from that talk, we have the limit burst and dual arms, physical damage 2.7 times multiplier, confused chance 50% to 1. So this is going to be a, you know, it's a kind of mediocre physical damage hitting ability, but it does have confused 50% chance, which is pretty cool. I don't know what bosses out there can be confused. Maybe in the future we'll find one, but other than that, you know, that's what it's going to be used for. The support abilities on Abel are Steel. So he brings Steel to you just in case you need that somewhere and you don't have your Zahn, you don't have your, you know, your boys out there who can still, you can still use the Steel chance on Abel to be able to do that. So that's pretty good. And then he has Break Style, and this could have gone to his physical attack damaging ones, but I wanted to add a little bit more to his supporting abilities. Break Style, physical damage 1.6 times to 1 unit, and it's going to debuff their attack by 45% for 3 turns. And 45% is a lot. So this ability right here could be useful for you in the event that you need to lower somebody's attack. That could be very, very useful to you. So why am I bringing up Abel if it only goes up to 5-star? He only goes to 5-star because he does have some great passives to bring along too. He has Camouflage, which means he's getting a decreased chance of being targeted by an enemy by 50%, so that's going to save him in a lot of the places that he could be hit. And then he also has Infiltrate. This is the biggest one I'm bringing him up for. Encounter rate decreased by 25%. So if you want to go into somewhere like an exploration, you just want to get through it, you don't want to fight all those mobs, and you want to decrease that chance, he could just be on your team for this passive alone, which could help you out in the future maybe if we need to do something like that. He also gets Man-Eater, but again, he's just not really that great of a physical damage dealer, but I did want to mention it because it could come in helpful in the future when you're fighting humans. Alright, so let's talk about his attack abilities. He has a few, a lot of them kind of overlap, 2 of them overlap. He has Poison, Sleep, Paralyze, Confused, Knife. So essentially, each of these are going to have a physical 1 point times to one enemy attack, and then it's going to have a 40% chance to inflict one of those. Now, they're separate, so it'll be like poison knife, sleep knife, so on and so forth. So I just wanted to put that all into one. You can see that my title is really small for that thing because I had to fit it all in there. But yeah, he has that many chances to 40% do that. And as we saw with the Echidna trial, sometimes we're going to need to put those status elements on people to make things happen. So he could be somebody who could do that for you at a 40% chance. Although he's at 5-star base, so his health and his spirit and his defense might not be high enough to survive anyway. Disturbing Knife is going to be 3 physical damage, 0.6 times each to one enemy. So he's going to hit 3 times with 0.6 times multiplier. And then he's going to inflict a random status element, 30% to 1. It's going to be 30% between all of his knives, so poison, sleep, paralysis, confuse. And then he's also going to add disease to that at a 30% chance. So again, another way to inflict status elements if you would need to. He has a guard style and physical style. That's going to be physical 1 point times 6 multiplier to one enemy, and then if it's guard style, defense up 50% to himself, and attack style, he's going to upgrade his attack by 50%. These things don't save him in terms of being a great physical damage dealer, but it is a good way for him to be able to buff himself up if you decide to use him for other reasons. So his ranking is going to be a 5 out of 10 on global. Again, not the greatest in the world, but because of the infiltrate, decreasing the encounter rate, and because of the camouflage and other things that go along with him, and the chance to add these random status elements, you could find a use for him on your team. Japan gave him a 77 out of 100, and overall, if you get him, you're going to be excited about the team, obviously, and he has some uses out there that you could use and throw him on your team. So next up is our 4-star base going up to 6-star in Grace. She's up on that Magitech armor. She's like a, a Gundam user. I'm really into Gundam right now, so I'm gonna keep going to Gunpla and Gundam. Grace is really good. She has a very tricky thing to use to make sure you maximize her damage. She's about mediocre, but with this trick we're gonna learn, maybe she can become really good for your finisher and things like that. The Trust Mastery is Magic Amplifier, and just like the Bowie knife, it's a very, very good Trust Mastery. It's gonna put up your MP by 20%, your magic and spirit by 25%. And again, like I said in the banner review, that we are going to start hitting that 300% cap. And a lot of you guys were asking, how do we hit a 300% cap with our, our items, our equipment? It also comes in with the passives of the unit. So let's say the unit has like magic 30% up, a couple of times, and then you put magic 30% on them, or they have a passive where they're equipping a rod, they have magic 30%. That all adds up. And once you get to 300, everything else is lost. So this right here being at magic 25, spirit 25, that maybe can help us down from the magic 30% to maybe piece the puzzle pieces together to get 300%. Plus, it has MP 20% on it. Just an amazing, I think Rim would really like this TM, and an amazing TM, very, very strong. So, the Limit Burst, I have no idea what it's called. I'm going to call it Shining Burning Finger. She is in a Magitech armor. I'm using Gundam again, but I tried to look it up on all the wikis and anywhere I could find, as I don't have the unit yet, and it's all in Japanese, so I have no idea what it means, and nobody has it in English yet. For me, at least, I couldn't find it. So, anyway, what the ability does is magic damage 2.9 times multiplier with ignore defense, or spirit, 50%. So this is going to be a one-hit magic damage, limit burst, and mostly we're going to be building her physical. So I don't really like this limit burst on her. I guess it's a way to hybrid damage her up a little bit. Not the best. So moving into support abilities, not very many. It has one. Vital Scan. It's pretty much Libra. You look at the information on an opponent to get your monster guide, or your little diary on all your monsters. You can write down what's going on with them and figure out what they are. Then she has one passive ability that I feel is important to mention. Battle Cyborg. Increase HP by 30%. Also, if you look at that HP stat, it's 6,240. That's extremely high. A lot of HP. Increase HP by 30%, and then it also increases elemental resist by 15%. So she does get a little boost to elemental resist, which we have learned in the trials that we really need. Let's move on to the attack abilities and how we're actually going to be using Grace. So Unlimited is more of a support ability, but I wanted to put it in the attack because it does, coincide with her big last sequence attack. So Unlimited has a 50% chance to self-buff attack, defense, spirit, and magic by 100% for 5 turns. So that's really awesome, right? The thing about Grace you want to know is she doesn't have a lot of passives to raise her attack. Her attack, as you can see, is 143. There's not a lot on her that raises that attack. So this 100% may seem a lot, which it is, but in the end, it's really not as great as you may think it is, although she gets to buff up all her other stats. Now, the big one you're hitting here is the 50% chance to self-buff attack by 200% for 5 turns, which is insane. So you can hit either one of those. Both of them seem good. And so let's look at her last sequence ability, which is the one you guys are going to be using. Physical damage, 9.99 times multiplier to all. If Unlimited was used, which is the move we just talked about, which buffs by 100% to all, all of her stats, or 200% to her attack, physical damage 12 times to all. So that's a huge multiplier, and it's to all. It's big, it's bad, it's awesome, and then just even using unlimited, that's going to buff up your attack even more to make this physical damage multiplier hit even harder. Now, there is something here that's not written that I need to talk about. It does KO you. It kills you off. If you use this, you're like, beep, 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 self-destruct, blow up, like Diva runs in, but you don't jump out the mech, and you just blow up and die. Now, the things about this is that there are ways we can fight this. There is I don't know if it works on her, but I know it works on Bart's, where if she starts a turn with less than 100% HP and you use Kiraja and Last Sequence in the same, like, in a certain order, what the game will do is register it using all the HP, KOing the ally, and then bringing it back to life. That's how Bart's works. Now, I'm not sure how Last Sequence works, if it just makes sure it KOs or if it uses all your HP as Bart's does. We're going to have to test that out on Global. Also, you can use re-raise ability. So, like, Rem could put a re-raise on her for 3 turns. Last sequence, she dies, comes back to life. And you get to use that giant finishing multiplier, which will be awesome. And then she also has elemental beams, so she can use a little bit of elemental chaining. They're very weak, though. Physical damage, 1.2 times multiplier to 1. And it's fire, ice, and lightning elements there. So, overall, what kind of ranking am I giving Grace? A 7 out of 10 on Global. She does take a little bit of, learning, a little bit of support to use right, unless you're just going to KO yourself over and over and bring her back to life to use her to her maximum. And she got an 87 out of 100 on JP. That's after enhancements. They did enhance her a little bit to make her a little bit better. So overall, I think Grace would be fun to play with, but kind of dangerous when you're taking her into a hard trial or something like that. And finally, the man of my life right now in FFBE. I have looked at this guy's stats, his numbers, his global exclusive abilities, and Wilhelm has caught my eye as a unit I really, really want on my team for a while to come. Wilhelm is a 5-star base going up to 6-star. Ultra tank, very high stats in spirit and defense. This guy puts a lot of the tanks to rest. Even Warrior of Light 6-star, I think he's going to be better than when we first get Warrior of Light 6-star with these global buffs, which maybe what Gumi was trying to do by giving these global exclusive buffs and releasing Warrior of Light 6-star afterwards to try to get us to pull for Wilhelm. But honestly, I know that may happen, but to me, I really want Wilhelm, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit. I'm sorry, Cecil, you know I love you, but we're going to have to bench you after we try to get Wilhelm if we get him. So let's look at the Trust Mastery, which is really good, which is like the running thing about this banner. A lot of great Trust Masteries. And Imperial Shield, all it's going to give you is Defense 65 and Spirit 65. No elemental resist, no resist to any status elements. But my god, guys, that Spirit 65 is massive. And the Defense 65 that way too. It's a heavy shield, for anybody out there that has to proc heavy shield passives. This thing is very awesome. And as you can see in a lot of the fights now, we do need that Spirit stat up. And it's going to start biting us in the butt for missing out on it. So that's a very good TM. Going to definitely be farming that one when it comes out. His limit burst, also one of the best limit bursts in the game in my opinion right now. Great wall, okay? Damage mitigation by 30% for 1 turn to all of your allies. So it's similar to Yashtola's, where it's going to damage mitigation everybody. Everybody's taking a little bit less damage, and it's going to be 30%. But also, he's going to self-buff his defense by 50% for 3 turns. So his defense is getting super high, and he's helping everybody out. And he has a way to keep recasting this at a pretty good rate. So it's a very strong limit burst. I would even level it up as it puts up the damage mitigation and the defensive buff, I do believe. So very good one to be using the Spirit Pots on. So let's talk about Wilhelm's support abilities and why I like him so much. And you guys are going to get sick of me probably saying I like him, but he's really, really good. General's Command. He's going to be able to buff defense and spirit by 45% to all allies by 5 turns. So not only is this guy tanking for you really well, he's going to be able to buff up your defense and spirit by 45% for 5 turns. And then we have General Battle Cry. Buff up your attack and magic by 50%. This is a global exclusive right here. 50% is a hell of a lot for your physical, or your magic abilities right there. And on top of that, he's putting up your limit burst fill rate by 50% to all allies for 3 turns. So this is the reason why I really like Wilhelm. So in the future, we're going to have Riku. Riku's going to have a limit burst that says, I think it boosts up some of your defensive stats, but the most important, it puts an automatic re-raise on everybody, I think, for 3 turns. Something like that. So, being able to put up our fill rate with our tank and buff up our magic and attack by 50% is insane to me. That's going to be very good, and I'm going to be using Tidus. Maybe some of you guys out there won't be, but Tidus doesn't have a way, you know how, Eileen and Orlando have a way to knock down the element they're going to be using. Tidus doesn't have that in his kit besides his limit burst. So guess what? Riku, Tidus, Wilhelm, that's going to be working out great for me. I'm a Final Fantasy X fan. Those are the units I want on my team, and General Battle Cry is going to be great for that. And then he has Impregnable or Indomitable. He's whichever way you want to say it. He's not going to be able to get taken, knocked up on the first date. He has 100% provoke for 3 turns. That's right. So, unlike other units, he has a 100% provoke for 3 turns. It's not provoke. I think it's 70%. He's pulling everything to him for 3 turns. And on top of that, he's going to damage mitigation 50% to self. So for those 3 turns. So he literally is going to be taking all of the damage and negating 50% of it, which is amazing. That is an amazing move. It's awesome that he has that, and that is a true tanking ability, and I love it. We have a lot of passives to talk about with Wilhelm, so let's move on to those. He has draw attacks, so not only does he have the 100% provoke, not needing golems provoke, he also has draw attacks. Chance of being targeted increased by 50%. So you remember in the Echidna trial where we wanted to pull something on the first turn because the boss got a free hit on us before we could do anything? That's 50%. It's going to be hitting Wilhelm, so amazing, awesome. And then he has counter, and he also has eye for an eye, so he has a chance to counter physical attacks, and it was 30%, but eye for eye says all counter abilities are 2 times, so we're going to say 60%. If somehow that math doesn't add up, then I'm going to have to go back to algebra class, I guess. I'm really bad with these numbers, so, you know, I have a kindergarten algebra degree, so come on, I have to be right. So that's really, really great. That's going to help us build up our limit burst for his Great Wall, or just in general to apply maybe weapon elements or any kind of thing, maybe, you know, blind, anything we have equipped to him that our weapons may do, we can hit him with a counter, and that could work out. And then he has Guardian, which is one of his passives. Defense, buff to himself if he has a shield on or a heavy armor. That's going to be 50% if he has them both, or 25% respectively. So that's how it's going to work out. I think you're always going to put a heavy shield on him or heavy armor. There are times when maybe a light shield might be good too, but to get that defense buff, so not only is his defense already really high, it's going up even more with all these buffs, as you guys can see to him. So very, very nice. So he has even more passives and insatiable heart. If HP drops below 30%, he's going to self-buff himself, defense and spirit, by 75%. Again, we're just buffing ourselves up, making ourselves even more tanky. Be a man. You're just going to get really strong. And then a global exclusive, Loyal Guardian. So he's more loyal to us than JP. You know, he got the Guardian and JP, but for us, we got Loyal Guardian. His limit burst gauge is going to fill by 3 every single turn. So that's a passive he has on himself. His limit burst, I think, it goes off at 16 limit burst crystals. So that's a lot to be building up to. The 3 is a lot to be going towards that, because that's Cecil's level of limit burst crystals needed. And then he has eye for an eye and counter, so he's going to be getting even more limit burst crystals maybe for himself or the party. Very, very strong. And on top of that, that would have been strong enough. But they're like, hey, by the way, this guy also resists status elements by 50%. So when a status element's hit on him, he's just going to flip that coin, grab it, and if it's heads, he is not getting hit by that status element, which is amazing. That is a very good passive. You want that on your tank. He's going to be pulling all those attacks anyway. Awesome stuff. And then he has Fortress, that if you don't take a turn off, you're not doing any of these awesome provoking, or you're not, you know, buffing your team up in any way. If he's guarding because he knows a big attack's coming in, when you put that shield on and lock it in, he's just going to self-heal himself. Now, it's not the most awesome, amazing heal, but it's pretty good to have that when you have to defend. That's just an awesome passive to have on him. We'll go to his attack abilities, which they aren't really that great, honestly. He has Guard Smite, which I think is his best one. Physical damage, 1.4 times multiplier to one enemy, and then he's going to put damage mitigation on himself by 50% for 1 turn. That's his best one. I mean, he's going to damage mitigate by 50%, which is awesome, and do a little bit of damage, but not that much. We're not putting that much attack on him. Imperial Lance, which is one I don't think you're ever using. Physical damage, 1.8 times multiplier to one enemy. That's it. Probably not using that. He has all these other great moves to be using. Then he has Shield Bash, physical damage, 1 times 2 multiplier, and a confuse chance of 30%. You may use that when you need to confuse somebody, all right? So after all of that, Wilhelm is amazing. Let's talk about his builds, guys. So we're going to go to the non-TM example builder. Remember, these aren't best in slot. These are example builds I threw together before I did the video. If you have a better suggestion, write it in the comments below, all right? So we're going to put survival edges on him, as he can't equip the dagger. He can't equip axes, which is why we're not putting the Giganax on him. But yeah, so he has survival edges for that percent HP increase. And then he has Force Shield, and you get that from the Fat Chocobo. That is a heavy shield. That is a great shield with elemental resist, along with a lot of good stats on it. We want Grand Helm from the trial. That's going to give him a lot of great stats. Plus, I think it's some other immunities to him too. We want Force Armor, which I think is the best heavy armor we have in the game. And one thing I'm noticing while I'm doing this right now is they didn't really give us a lot of great heavy armor, a lot of great helms from TMs. Like, where are our TMs for these great items for, you know, heavy armor and heavy helms? I mean, we want those. So I just don't understand why we don't have any TMs for them yet. I don't know anything about JP or if we're getting them, but I'd like to have some. When Force Armor from a trial is your best one, I think we need a little bit more, in my opinion, to be able to work towards, but that's whatever. And then you can get Germanus Boots, or Germanus Boots. You get that from the Flame Ring completion, the Flame Ring key completion reward. Very good boots. Everybody out there should get these. I don't even have them yet because I'm behind on my keys. I know, if you watch my stream, I'm bad at questing, but these boots are awesome. Not only does it give you an HP increase, it gives you some other stat increases, and gives you the ability Escape, which we've seen in some of the explorations or things like that, where Escape comes in handy, where you just run and it's so trolly. You run for the enemies, you really want that. And then I just throw a muscle belt on him that's craftable, and the reason we want to do that is we want a lot of HP, because this guy has the stats in defense and spirit to where you can boost his HP really high. I think I've seen one at like 15k HP before on YouTube, which is insane from the JP version of the game. So we want to put a lot of HP on him. We're talking about, you know, the Materias here. Just throw HP, spirit, spirit on him, whatever you need to reach it. But for me, I'm throwing a lot of HP on him because he has tons and tons of spirit and defense already. So let's talk about the TM example build. It's going to change up a little bit. Instead of having the force shield in his arm, I'm going to put his Imperial shield from Wilhelm on him. That's a heavy shield, going to give him even more defense and spirit stats. In any case, you always want to have a heavy shield on him to proc his passive for heavy shields and heavy armor. Along with the heavy armor, we're going to still be using force shield again in the Grand Helm because there aren't any of that great TMs out there for him. But we are moving on to the Saluna band from Cupidar and Mios. It's going to give us some HP, high HP stats, and some defense on us. So we want those. And if you don't have those, you guys can use the LTM, you know, that we had before. I think he was a 3-star base to also go in there with that. And then as far as the materia is concerned, I'm going to be throwing in Hill Diggers on him from Guy. I think it's 30% with a little bit of it's attack on it. It's like 30% HP with 10% attack. We're not going to be using that attack too much, but the counter with a little bit of attack could be helping us, and that's how I want to build him. So let's talk about the ranking for Wilhelm. He is amazing. I'm giving him a 9 out of 10 on Global. He's the best tank on release on Global, and even with Warrior of Light 6-star, he's definitely going to rival him. Cecil, sit down. The only thing Wilhelm doesn't do as good as Cecil is he can't cure, but I think you could put a cure material on him if you wanted to use that. He can buff that defensive spirit up like Cecil can, but he does everything else in the game better. Japan gave him a 95 out of 100. He did get enhancements, and those enhancements made him even better. They're really great enhancements, and overall, he even gives Warrior of Light 6-star with enhancements a run for his money. I think people just have to pick which one they want to use for the battle, so very, very good unit. Just to be super excited if you pull him. Alright guys, so we've reached the conclusion of our banner review guide. Is this banner worth pulling on? I have mixed feelings about it. Honestly, yes, TM-wise. Now, we have the gun, which isn't that great. It doesn't proc a double hand or dual wield, so it's just really there for people who are new to the game, maybe, and really need great weapons, and they're going to TM farm. They don't have all these units for the great weapons. You can get in there and get that gun. It's a high attack stat. You can throw it on somebody, alright? Then we have the dual wield dagger, which is very good. You definitely want to get that if you don't have enough dual wield or Genji glove in your kit already. Then we have the awesome, MP 20%, magic and spirit 25% TM, and then we have the great shield that we get from Wilhelm. Those are all great TMs, all worth using. Maybe the gun on the outside, but very good there. And then also, as far as like actual units you can use, Wilhelm is a great tank. Now, do you absolutely have to pull for him over Cecil? No. If you have Warrior of Light 6-star, do you really need Wilhelm? No. Or we have Warrior of Light whenever we do get a 6-star? No, because you already have Warrior of Light waiting. So that's the problem with Wilhelm. But for people like me, I'm going to be using him to his maximum abilities using Final Fantasy X characters. I do see him as being in my team for a long time to come, maybe being my main tank through a lot, but Warrior of Light 6-star getting in there when I need that AoE cover. So overall, it's going to be up to you. This isn't a banner where I can fully say, yes, you have to pull or you're missing out. It's up to you if you want these TMs and if you really want Wilhelm on your team. But overall, I really like the banner myself. I wish Cheetahs would have been on it, but it's the best we can do. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're pulling for him, or you're just going to wait on that Warrior of Light 6-star. Gumi, we're waiting. And then subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video.